I think he's been career noted as having a great deep ball. So I love that, of course.
And so I'll ask Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, I think Aaron Rodgers is probably the greatest quarterback to ever, just pure thrower of the ball to ever play football. So I have a ton of respect for him. And I know, whatever. Obviously, everybody loves in this league. Once you get a little older, it happens to everybody. They're like, oh, he doesn't got it anymore, whatever. But I think Aaron Rodgers has shown that he can still spin it.
Peter, how strange it must be for those guys to talk about a team that they don't know who the quarterback is going to be. That's where we are with the current state of the New York Giants. Peter, what else do you have to think about them?
I think everyone has been having their whacks at the Giants, and I think there has been this feeling of schadenfreude almost, of like, look at this team. They're courting Aaron Rodgers at 41 years old, and they're waiting on him. I actually think the Giants did very well this week, and they added important pieces, and they have some real strong points to this roster that if you take and you block out the fact that they're waiting and they're meeting with Russell Wilson and they're meeting with Aaron Rodgers and whatever else, look at their defense. Look at this defensive backfield that they have put together here right now, which, as we know, and you're watching the Eagles this year, when you add a Cooper DeJean and you add a Quinyon Mitchell, this could be a very, very important piece to a roster. You're talking about, here's your protected started secondary. When you go to the nickel corners also, you got a 26-year-old free agent. You got a 24-year-old former first-round pick. Phillips and Newman were great rookies last year. And Holland's one of the better safeties in the game. Then you look at the front seven and you're like, oh, well, surely they don't get to the quarterback or they're not good there. They have probably the best defensive tackle in the sport in Dexter Lawrence. They have Brian Burns, who's still 27, one of the best pass rushers. Thibodeau's a former first-round pick. And then Bobby Okereke was solid as a linebacker, and they like McFadden. Like, there are strengths to this Giants team. And, oh, yeah, by the way, Malik Neighbors and Tyrone Tracy had amazing rookie seasons. So, I see this as a young ascending team. They're a quarterback away. Mm-hmm. They don't have a quarterback. Daniel Jones was horrendous last year and then got injured. And then it was awful after that. They don't have a quarterback. It's hard to win football games without a quarterback. But there are pieces there. Color me an optimist, or maybe it's because I grew up in New Jersey that I'm like, the Giants aren't that far off. Throw in Aaron Rodgers, heck, throw in Russell Wilson, draft a quarterback. I think the Giants are on their way, and they could be competitive this year. Call me crazy.
Good job, Peter. Great.
Is that a heavy lift? I don't know.
Yeah, it was. Great. Yeah, it was. And when you bring up the depth chart and everything, you got the bar on your shoulder. But you're doing it. It's not nothing to do with you being from New Jersey. You're tired of the Schadenfreude. You're tired of the tomato can. You hate that.
And it's like they did offseason Hard Knocks, so everyone thinks that everyone's an idiot in that building. Guys, earth to the fans at home. Saquon Barkley wasn't running for 2,000 yards as a New York Giant last year. It wasn't happening. This worked out for both sides. The Eagles were the best place for him, and the Giants used that money to invest in the offensive line. If they have a quarterback, they might be better off also. Saquon was not rushing for 2,000 yards and winning a Super Bowl with the Giants last year. Trust me. I'm telling you, those teams are very different spots. So to me, to kick them while they're down on that decision, I still don't know if that's not the right decision or the wrong decision to let Saquon walk out the door. I know it sounds crazy. They committed to the quarterback a year earlier. They couldn't do both. They made a mistake with the quarterback.
The reason it's such a heavy lift isn't just because the Giants have been made fun of a lot. It's that it's very difficult to talk about the Giants because who is the quarterback? That's the whole thing. So I'm a big fan of Patton Oswalt. Where's this conversation going? Patton Oswalt tells great stories of Blade Trinity. He was in Blade Trinity. Okay? And he's like, listen, I know the movie's terrible. I get it. Wesley Snipes would not come out of the dressing room. We could not make the movie. He literally would not leave the dressing room. I'm sitting there, and we got Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Biel, and they got their swords and their bows and arrows. We're all ready to roll. There was no star. We couldn't make a movie. He wouldn't leave the dressing room. The Giants quarterback in 2025 will not come out of the dressing room. They're trying to make a movie. We're trying to make a show. We're sitting around waiting for it. If you suddenly tell me that, oh my God, we got to go to Rap Sheet and Aaron Rodgers is on the Giants, then we bring in Peter's full screens of Brian Burns and Malik Neighbors. And
Micah McFadden, bro.
Yes, we got it. And oh my God, Kayvon Thibodeau's only 24 years old. That's crazy. But right now, it's like you could line up Judi Dench and Daniel Day-Lewis, and you could have anybody you want. There's no lead actor. I don't know how to talk about it. There's nobody we can say, they can bring in Russell Wilson. Sure, that's all pixie dust at this point. I don't know. And the other thing I don't know, guys, is let's say Rodgers says, no, I'm going to retire, I'm going to become a Steeler. what is plan B? I don't know what that is because they're not starting the season with Tommy DeVito. That's not going to happen.
Shador.
All right, so Shador is plan B. We're going to take Deion Sanders' kid, put him into New York City and say, week 1, you're the starter. Hope it's not against the Eagles. Like, that's a crazy plan. So it's difficult to talk about because they won't come out of the dressing room. And when they do, we will.
Yeah, Kyle, I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's very hard to talk about this team when you don't know what the quarterback situation looks like. And they have an O-line issue that just isn't solved yet, that they've been asked to solve for the past 5-6 years. You know, outside of the pick and Andrew Thomas, you know, it's just hard to say that they've hit on any of these picks. You know, I'm good friends with Saquon Barkley. To this day, he still has teammates that text him like, man, I really can't believe you're gone. And just the message that's sent to the rest of the players, that it doesn't matter how good of a person you are, it doesn't matter how hard you work, it doesn't matter how talented you are or how you carry yourself or how you carry the team offensively. What it said is, we don't care about you. We're not going to give you what you deserve. So what type of inspiration and motivation are you sending to these players that they should be the best version of themselves? Because are they going to get rewarded for it? Like, that's the type of culture you're creating. And honestly, I'm surprised that, you know, Dabble isn't in some way, shape, or form on a hot seat with this situation. I just think there's culture issues. I think they have issues offensively, although they have a couple of pieces in Malik Neighbors and their, you know, rookie running back last year that had a good year. I just do not think that you can be excited about this New York Giants team.
I think first off, Dayball is definitely on the hot seat, and he's thinking about that every single night. But it's hard for me to even focus because I have this song, Living on a Prayer, stuck in my head because that's what this Giants football team is doing.
New Jersey.
Peter, I love the breakdown. It's so nice, but this team is living on a prayer. Like, you can't just casually be like, oh, you know, they're great, but we don't have a quarterback. Like, that's a huge deal. That's the name of the game in the NFL. That's a passing league. You have to have a quarterback. But it's fine. They can go get a quarterback. They don't have an O-line. They had the worst O-line in the NFL last year, which is a game changer and that will ruin an offense. I live by the phrase, prior planning prevents poor performance, and that is bulletproof. And that's what's happening with this team right now. I think of this I think of this division, Dak Prescott, Hurts, Jaden Daniels. And then I'm like, Shador, DeVito, Cam Ward. It just doesn't even sound right. So this team right now, I think they have to literally pray and hope because that's where they're at right now.